It's Monday, it's 12:15 and we're live in Westminster. Joining me, former anti-corruption czar John Penrose, Shadow Policing Minister Sarah Jones, Chief Executive of the Left of Centre think tank, the New Economics Foundation, Miatta Fahnbulleh, and former Brexit Party MEP and Conservative Minister Anne Widdecombe. Today, this could be your last chance to catch a train before strikes bring much of the rail network to a halt.
I think the campaign will intensify if we don't get a settlement. We've got a mandate that runs for 6 months.
What's the answer to this political blame game?
Not only are the government not lifting a finger, it's impossible to escape the conclusion that they are actually trying to provoke this dispute.
In what sort of crazy world would anybody want to see our transport sector come to a halt?
Will the government listen to this advice on the cost of living?
You may have had 3 budgets and that may seem enough, but you're going to have a 4th budget. It's absolutely essential.
Potholes are a big problem here. We'll hear about an unusual solution from South Africa. And is Nadine Dorries right about this?
I think we're back in the realms of Remain versus Leave, sadly.
Well, let's start the programme picking up on that point from the Culture Secretary, saying we're back in the world of Leave and Remain. We're certainly hearing a lot more about Brexit in recent weeks and months. The government want to talk about it much more. We hear Labour are planning to set out their post-Brexit vision on immigration at some point. So my opening question to the panel is, are we back to a world of Leave versus Remain, John?
I don't think so. I mean, I think Nadine is right to say that there are still echoes and ripples spreading along, so she's absolutely right to make that point. But I hope that it is a declining sort of a force in British politics. We're several years past the vote now, after all. But she is also right to say that there's a whole series of bills that are coming up which are designed to reset where we are in a post-Brexit world. So, for example, there's a better regulation bill just coming up which is designed to get rid of red tape and those sorts of things. So there will be examples of it coming up, even though it isn't the force that perhaps it once was.
Do you agree with Nadine Dorries? Or are things being seen, Sarah, through the prism of Leave versus Remain?
I think maybe Nadine wants them to be, because that harks back to a time when the Prime Minister was a bit more popular. Now, of course, there are things we need to sort out. We need to make Brexit work. There's a lot of issues around red tape, around bureaucracy, about how we get the movement of goods. But that argument is settled, and however much Nadine might want us to stop talking about the issues of the day and her 12 years of government failure, those are the things that actually people really want to talk about now.
Anne, are we still in a world of Leavers and Remainers?
I don't think the operative word is still. I think for some time we weren't. And it's really only been over the last few weeks when questions about Boris's position were raised, and you had people like Tobias Ellwood saying, well, we could go back into the single market, blah, 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 that it started again. And I share John Penrose's hope that, we just put that behind us and we get on with the more serious and pressing issues of the day. As I say, a few weeks ago I would have said, oh, nonsense, but because of some of the pronouncements that have come out recently from Remainers, I'm less sceptical.
Anne mentioned Tobias Ellwood talking about rejoining the single market. Anna McMorrin, a shadow Labour minister, also talked about it if there were a Labour government. Are we back to a world of looking at everything through the prism of Leave and Remain?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think Nadine and some of her colleagues may want us to, because it's sort of in the hope that they can sort of rebuild the coalition that they put together in 2019. But I think the country's moved on. And I think that there are big questions about the fact the economy is failing. You know, the lowest growth rates in advanced economies we're projected to have, the huge cost of living squeeze. And I think those issues drive drive a massive wedge through Brexit, and I think that's the thing on people's mind. But what I do think is important is, we were promised the government said, give us the freedoms, more sovereignty, and we will use that in order to solve the big problems that you have. And I think for a lot of people who are looking at their living standards being absolutely hammered, they will be asking, where is the innovation? How are you using your newfound powers that you claimed you were going to get in order to make our lives better? That is the issue of the day. And I don't think the settlement that we have solves that. And the fact that we're still dealing with Northern Ireland and everything else suggests that we haven't got Brexit to work. And that is an issue the government has to grip.
Anne, were you nodding along with some of what Miatta was saying there?
I was nodding along with some of it because I also say regularly, look, we left, we have got these freedoms, we control our own VAT, for example. We could do so much, and yet we don't. Now, I'm sure that Miatta and I are coming from it from slightly different angles, but it's a frustration to me that having fought all those years for those freedoms, we're not using them as well as we should be.
All right. Well